Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Ian. This time of year, everybody's thoughts naturally turn to love, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm really soppy. So I thought that I'd take a look back at a model I created for my wife last year, and here it is. If I can just show it off with this light behind it, you can kind of get the idea, I think. So to create this model, I used 3 pieces of software. And in my case, I used 2 of the Adobe Creative Suite, but there are free versions available. So first off, I took one of our wedding photos, took that into Photoshop. It was already a silhouette, but it just needed all the detail removing, so reducing really to monochrome as best I could. From there, I took that into Illustrator, and in Illustrator I converted it into a vector graphic, and using the tools that are built in there. So again, as I said, if you don't have the Adobe Creative Suite, which is really good but expensive, then you could use GIMP, for example, instead of using Photoshop, and you could use Inkscape instead of Illustrator, and they will both do the exact same job. As I say, I created the SVG file, which I then loaded up into Fusion 360, extruded that SVG file, and then that gave me the silhouette. Once I had the silhouette model, I took inspiration from Graphit, from one of his older models, which was a multi-layer light, and I created a 2-layer light, and as you can see there's like a back pane which is orange, supposed to depict a kind of sunrise, I guess, and I threw a couple of love hearts into the equation. Soppy, as I said. But I think it did a really good job, brought that out, and then obviously with the silhouette at the front of it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using Inkscape to demonstrate the creating of the silhouette. I have used Photoshop prior to this stage to create the JPEG that I've now imported into Inkscape, this JPEG here, and what I did there was reduce the level of detail down. For all it was a silhouette on the original photo, there was still, you know, little bits of detail in there from highlights and stuff. So I reduced that down as far as I possibly could really in Photoshop and still keep the detail. And now I've imported it, I saved it as a JPEG, imported that JPEG into Inkscape. So now the key thing that we're looking for, what you need to do is turn it into a path. So there's a couple of options for path here, and we're going to go with trace bitmap in this instance. You can see there straight away. So these are the settings that I've selected. The only one I've changed here really is colours. I've reduced it down. We just need 2 colours. So you know, that looks pretty good straight off the bat there, I think, in the preview, and we'll just hit OK, and that should create the path. So you can see there, one thing to watch on this is you click on OK, you would expect normally in most applications that having done that, then this panel would disappear. It doesn't, as you can see. It did the job, but it doesn't disappear. So I can close that down now, and you can already see there that this has actually come in, you know, pretty good. There's a little bit of cleanup that you would need, but to be fair, I would probably leave that as it is, save that out, and then clean it up in GIMP. So the last thing that remains to be done within Inkscape is to export that file. So we've got the path that we've created, the nice silhouette. If we say File, Save As, and you can see here that it's already set up to save it as an SVG file. There are various options within here what you can do. There's different types of SVG file even. The Inkscape SVG I found is perfectly fine both in Fusion 360 and even using 123D. They both worked fine, they both imported great, and then from there you can just simply extrude that outline up, and you're left with your 3D model. For illumination, my idea was to use the Toolmoon T-bulb, which you can see here. This is actually version 2 of the T-bulb. I've done quite a few lamps in the past using the original one, and noticed that there was a new version out, so obviously had to go in that and have a look at it. So here's the packaging. As you can see, the T-bulb 2, and this is the Model S. The S, I believe, depicts the cable that's coming out the back, which is straight. There's also a right angled version. In this case I went for the straight one. To be honest, I would have probably been better with the right angle one just for this, just for the angle it's at, but I could have always modelled it slightly different, I guess. The T-bulb has like a little threaded insert there that if you just model that thread, you can screw that in no problem, and the plug plugs in and out. It also has a button on it, which won't reach to the camera, so I can't show. Oh, there you go, there's the button. And then on this one, it's a touch sensitive one. The previous version was actually a rocker switch, but as you can see, it works quite well. One interesting side note on this, I was using Prusa Slicer to print the silhouette model, and when I first printed it, now if I bring that forward, you can maybe see the top finish isn't great. I was just using the default settings in Prusa Slicer, and for some reason that was coming out bad, so I didn't know why. I had a conversation with my pal Tom Jackson, and unsurprisingly he came up with the gold on this. And so if you go into print settings, you need to have the advanced, at least the advanced option selected. Go into print settings, then into advanced, and top solid infill. By default, it's kind of set, it's either set at or above the extrusion width. So the nozzle I'm using is a 0.4, and it was set 0.4, 0.42, something like that. So I dropped that down to 0.32, and the finish is much better. You get a nice flat top on it. So if you've made it this far, thanks a lot for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe. Hopefully there will be more coming along. If you like this video in particular, if you give it a thumbs up, I really would appreciate it. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time.